Have you ever wondered if the healthy seeds you sprinkle on your salad or blend into your smoothie could actually be doing more harm than good? They may look small and innocent, but some of them carry compounds that can trigger serious health problems over time. And yes, we're talking about something as serious as cancer. What if I tell you that a few commonly consumed seeds, the ones many people include in their daily diet, have been linked to cancer-causing effects? Sounds shocking, right? But it's true. So what are these seeds that pose such a risk? What is it inside them that's potentially harmful? Keep watching as we break down the science behind 5 seeds that could increase your risk of cancer, explain exactly why they're dangerous, and what you should know before eating them again. Before we start the video, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? We always love seeing viewers from different parts of the world tuning in. Now let's get into it. Number 1, peanuts. Peanuts grow underground in pods borne by a low-lying plant. Farmers harvest them once the vines turn yellow. These nuts provide protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Yet they can also harbor a toxin called aflatoxin. Certain molds of the genus Aspergillus thrive when peanuts dry too slowly or sit in humid storage. Once the toxin forms, it resists heat and does not break down during roasting. People who eat high levels of aflatoxin over years face a raised risk of liver cancer. Molds that produce aflatoxin flourish in warm, humid climates. Regions near the equator, especially in parts of Africa and Asia, see the highest levels. There, smallholder farmers often lack access to drying equipment. After harvest, farmers may sun-dry peanuts on bare ground. Rain or heavy morning dew can re-wet the nuts. That allows mold spores to germinate and release toxin. Over time, even low levels of aflatoxin build up in the body. The liver bears the brunt of damage. Cells sustain genetic injuries that set the stage for tumors. In wealthier countries, strict rules keep aflatoxin levels low. Inspectors test peanut lots before sale. Any batch above safe limits gets discarded or repurposed for non-food uses. Modern farms use mechanical dryers and sealed storage bins. These steps cut humidity and slow mold growth. Farmers also sort out shriveled or discolored pods. Such pods often carry the highest toxin loads. Despite this, occasional lapses do occur. A single hot, damp season can overwhelm safety nets if drying or testing systems fail. For those who rely on homegrown peanuts, simple measures help reduce risk. Harvest early, before pods crack open in heavy rain. Spread nuts on raised racks rather than bare earth. This encourages airflow and speeds drying. Turn the nuts often so all surfaces dry evenly. Store the fully dried nuts in airtight containers. Keep these containers in cool, dry spots away from sunlight. If any nuts look soft, stained, or have a musty odor, discard them. Roasting at home can lower aflatoxin by some amount, but it cannot remove it entirely. Thus, prevention at harvest and storage remains crucial. Peanut butter and peanut-based snacks form a large part of many diets. Commercial brands inspect raw nuts and test peanut butter regularly. They rarely exceed toxin limits in developed markets. Still, consumers should check product labels and prefer brands that mention safety testing. Bulk or unpackaged peanut products bought from open bins may carry higher risk. If you buy them, inspect the package or bin date. Look for recent packaging and clear storage instructions. Store open containers in the fridge to keep humidity low. Children and people with chronic liver disease face greater danger from aflatoxin. Their bodies struggle more to repair DNA damage. In areas where hepatitis B or C infections are common, aflatoxin and hepatitis act together to raise cancer risk even further. Public health programs that vaccinate against hepatitis B also help lower cancer rates. Together with improved peanut drying methods, such efforts can cut liver cancer cases linked to aflatoxin. Scientists are trying to develop mold-resistant peanut varieties and tools for rapid toxin testing in the field. Some projects use beneficial yeasts or bacteria that compete with toxin-producing molds. Others deploy small handheld devices to detect aflatoxin on the spot. Number 2, corn. Corn feeds millions around the world. It serves as a staple grain in countless diets. But corn also faces threats from a toxin called fuminizin. This compound forms when fusarium fungi infect corn kernels in the field. The fungi multiply most in warm, damp weather. When rain delays harvest, kernels retain moisture and allow mold to set in. Once fumonizin appears, it remains through cooking and processing. People who eat corn or corn products regularly may accumulate fumonizin in their bodies over time. That raises the odds of developing cancer of the esophagus. In specific regions of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, local diets depend heavily on homegrown corn. Farmers often shell and dry corn on the farm without machinery. If the crop meets rain or high humidity, kernels can rot and grow fungus. Without access to rapid testing, farmers may not see warning signs. They then sell or eat the contaminated corn as usual. Chronic exposure to fuminizin over months or years damages the cells lining the esophagus. Eventually, these cells can turn cancerous. Researchers have tracked hotspots of esophageal cancer to places with high fuminizin in corn. In parts of China's Henan province and Iran's Golestan region, local rates of esophageal cancer rise above national averages. Studies there measured fuminizin levels in corn and linked them to cancer cases in nearby villages. Similar patterns appear in South Africa's Transkei region and parts of Brazil. These findings suggest that reducing fuminizin exposure would cut cancer rates too. Preventing fuminizin begins on the farm. Crop rotation helps break the cycle of fusarium fungi. Planting alternate crops reduces the fungus that lives in soil. Farmers also choose corn varieties bred to resist mold infection. When harvest time arrives, they aim to pick corn before heavy autumn rains. After picking, they dry the kernels quickly to moisture levels below 13%. Mechanical dryers make this task easier, but solar tunnel dryers offer a low-cost alternative where electricity is scarce. Drying on raised trays with good airflow also speeds moisture loss. Once dried, corn should go into sealed bins or moisture-proof bags. Farmers should avoid storing corn in old sacks or uncovered piles. They should also sort and discard any kernels that show signs of blotches, holes, or softness. If such sorting is not possible, feeding contaminated corn to livestock offers a lower risk use. Animals may tolerate some toxin levels better than humans, but they still face health hazards. In processing plants, gravity separators remove lighter, hollow, or damaged kernels that often contain higher fuminizin levels. Washing and steeping can wash out some of the toxin, but they generate wastewater that poses disposal issues. Governments set maximum fuminizin limits for animal feed and human food. In the United States, for example, the limit for total fuminizins in human foods is 2 parts per million. However, enforcement varies in poor regions. Non-profits and aid agencies strive to train farmers in practical testing methods using low-cost kits. Consumers can play a role too. When buying cornmeal, corn flour, or masa flour, they should choose brands that note compliance with safety standards. They should store products in airtight containers and use them within shelf life dates. In home cooking, soaking and washing corn kernels may reduce some toxin, but it cannot remove all of it. Diversifying the diet also helps. Eating other grains and grains-based products alongside corn reduces total fuminizin intake. Children are especially vulnerable to fuminizin. Their bodies grow rapidly and have less capacity to clear toxins. In areas where corn flour makes up most of a child's daily calories, even small contamination levels have a bigger impact. Nutrition programs that supply fortified grain mixes or promote alternative staples can shield children from harm. School feeding programs offer one channel to distribute safer grains and oint more balanced diets. Number 3, sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds feed birds, livestock, and people. They supply oil, protein, and important nutrients such as vitamin E. But these seeds can also host a mix of toxins if they grow or dry under the wrong conditions. In particular, they may carry aflatoxin, ochratoxin A, and zearalenone. Each of these mycotoxins starts as a mold infection. Poor drying or storage lets several fungi multiply together. Once the toxins form, they stick to the seed and survive cooking. Small-scale farmers often spread sunflower seeds on dry ground after harvest. If rain or high humidity hits before the seeds dry fully, molds gain a foothold. In some parts of Eastern Europe and Central Asia, farmers lack access to raised drying racks. Harvested seeds may sit for days in fields. Once darkness falls, dew returns moisture and keeps spores alive. Over the next few weeks, toxin levels rise steadily. When local families roast and snack on these seeds, they ingest the built-up toxins. Aflatoxin B1 in sunflower seeds targets the liver and increases liver cancer risk. Ochratoxin A harms the kidneys and may promote cancers in the urinary tract. Zearalenone acts like a hormone in the body and may disrupt normal cell growth in the reproductive system. Together, these compounds deliver a 1-2 blow that can trigger tumor formation in multiple organs over time. Preventing toxin buildup begins at harvest. Farmers should cut seed heads once the backs of the heads turn yellow and before heavy rains. Immediately after cutting, they must dry the seed heads in open, sunny spots where wind circulates freely. Placing them on racks or tarps off the soil speeds drying. Once seeds feel crisp and their moisture sinks below 8%, farmers should shell them and move the seeds into airtight containers. Metal bins with secure lids work well. Plastic buckets with tight-fitting lids also protect seeds from damp air. In larger operations, mechanical dryers can process seeds by blowing warm air through racks. The key is to avoid over-drying or creating hot spots that might damage seed quality. After drying, seed owners should inspect containers monthly. If they smell musty or seeds feel soft, they should dry and reseal them immediately or discard suspect batches. Processors play a big role too. When buying raw seeds, they test random samples for toxin levels. If toxins exceed safe thresholds, they reject the batch or divert it to non-food uses, such as industrial oil. Large oil seed mills heat seeds under controlled conditions to pasteurize them. This step lowers mold counts but does not eliminate preformed toxins. Refining processes remove some oil-soluble toxins, but residues may still remain in meal byproducts used for animal feed. Consumers who buy unroasted seeds in bulk should check vendor practices. They should ask how long the seeds have sat on shelves and whether the vendor rotates stock. They should avoid seeds that look damp, have clumps, or show dark spots. For home roasting, spreading seeds in a single layer on a baking sheet and heating them at moderate temperature for 10 to 15 minutes can dry them further. But once toxins form, roasting only trims them by a fraction. Sunflower oil users also face low-level risk. Refining and bleaching remove most toxins, and final products generally test below concern levels in regulated markets. Yet homemade oil or cold-pressed oil made in informal settings may carry higher toxin traces. Consumers in such areas should seek products that list testing or certification on the label. Health programs in high-risk regions teach farmers and mill operators about safe drying and storage. Extension workers demonstrate raised drying beds and simple manual moisture tests. They also share designs for low-cost hermetic storage bags that keep oxygen out. When communities adopt these tools, toxin levels in seeds fall quickly. Over time, liver and kidney cancer rates linked to seed toxins should decline. Number 4, coffee beans. Coffee occupies a large share of global trade. The seed of the coffee fruit travels from farm to cup in several steps. Along the way, beans may pick up a toxin called ochratoxin A. This mycotoxin forms when Aspergillus or Penicillium species grow on beans that dry too slowly or sit in damp warehouses. Once ochratoxin appears, it resists washing and most roasting processes. Heavy consumers of coffee from unregulated sources risk long-term exposure that may raise their chance of kidney cancer. Coffee harvesters pick ripe red cherries by hand. They then remove the outer pulp to expose green beans. After this wet process, beans sit in piles or tanks for fermentation and initial drying. If beans ferment too long or dry unevenly, pore spaces trapped inside allow mold growth. Some farms try sun drying on patios, but uneven sun or sudden rain can re-wet beans. Others use mechanical dryers, but power outages or design flaws can interrupt the cycle. In either case, damp patches let ochratoxin-producing fungi multiply. Once beans leave the farm, they often get bagged and shipped across oceans. Ships' holds may heat up and trap moisture. When beans reach importing countries, they sit in warehouses that sometimes lack temperature control. Moist, warm conditions in these spaces encourage further mold growth. Inspectors in major ports sample bags for ochratoxin. Large importers reject any lot above set safety limits. Yet smaller buyers or informal markets may not test at all. Roasting green beans at high temperature for 10 to 15 minutes breaks down much of the ochratoxin. Still, studies show that 10 to 30% of the toxin survives even the darkest roasts. Instant coffee and home-roasted beans carry slightly higher residues than commercial blends because their processes may not match industrial roasting's precision. Espresso machines then extract compounds from these beans, sending traces of ochratoxin into cups. Casual coffee drinkers in regulated markets face minimal risk. But aficionados who source beans from boutique roasters or direct trade suppliers must inquire about safety testing. Producers who mention ochratoxin screening and publish their test results offer greater peace of mind. Consumers should also store roasted beans in sealed containers in cool, dry spots. Avoid the fridge, where moisture condenses on beans. Use small batches to minimize the time beans sit exposed. In regions where people dry coffee beans on patios or village floors, the risk is higher. Villages may lack funds for mechanical dryers or sealed bags. Standard plastic bags let in humid air and beans reabsorb moisture at night. Local cooperatives sometimes offer shared drying units and storage bins. When these resources reach enough farms, they lift the safety of the entire harvest. Brewing methods make little difference in toxin levels. Whether using drip, French press, or espresso, the resulting brew draws out similar fractions of residual ochratoxin. Very weak brews or long soak methods, like cold brew, extract slightly more. Drinking a cup or two per day still stays well within limits in regulated markets. But those who sip cups throughout the day over years should choose beans tested for ochratoxin. Number 5, Aristolochia seeds. Seeds of plants in the Aristolochia family carry powerful toxins called aristolochic acids. These acids spring from traditional medicine uses. People in parts of Asia and Europe once harvested these plants to treat various ailments. They ground roots, stems, and seeds into powders, but they did not know that aristolochic acids bind to DNA in kidney and urinary tract cells. This binding creates mutations that lead almost inevitably to kidney failure and cancers of the upper urinary tract. The history of aristolochic acid poisoning dates back decades. In the early 1990s, a clinic in Belgium offered a weight loss program using Chinese herbal products. Half of the patients developed signs of kidney failure within months. Later, autopsies linked their urinary tract tumours to aristolochic acids in the herbal blend. Around the same time, doctors in Taiwan reported similar cases in patients who used loose herbal teas. In the Balkans, grains grown near wild Aristolochia plants sometimes mixed with wheat and rye during harvest. Families eating bread made from this grain faced lifelong exposure. Over years, many developed a condition known as Balkan endemic nephropathy. and went on to develop cancer in the renal, pelvis, and ureter. Aristolochic acids resist cooking and baking. Bread loaves retain the toxin after baking, and tea infusions draw it out of ground seeds. No cooking method breaks down the acid fully. Once someone ingests a single dose, the acid forms adducts with DNA. The body cannot repair these chemical bonds effectively. Over years, the damage accumulates and triggers tumor growth in affected cells. Regulators around the world now ban Aristolochia species in herbal products. Medical authorities issue repeated warnings against any herbal mix that lists fangqi, birthwort, or guangfangji. Yet online sellers and informal markets sometimes mislabel products. Consumers seeking weight loss aids or arthritis remedies may still find mislabeled items at local markets. That puts them at risk of irreversible kidney damage and cancer. To stay safe, people should avoid any herb or supplement that lists Aristolochia or its synonyms on the label. They should buy products only from certified pharmacies or reputable online stores that publish test results. Herbalists and traditional practitioners must verify their source material through third-party labs. A simple DNA test can confirm plant species, and chemical assays can detect aristolochic acids at tiny levels. Patients with a history of kidney disease or urinary tract issues should tell their doctors about any herbal supplements they take. Clinicians should ask about traditional remedies in routine health checks. Early screening for upper tract urothelial cancer may catch tumours before they spread. Yet once morphologic changes appear under the microscope, treatment options narrow. Public education campaigns in affected regions raise awareness of the hidden danger in some herbal products. Posters at markets, radio spots, and school lessons help people spot Aristolochia names and seek safer alternatives. Community leaders explain the link between certain plant teas and kidney failure. As knowledge spreads, fewer families harvest wild Aristolochia or risk mixing it with grain. If you learnt something new today, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more eye-opening content, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And let us know in the comments, were you surprised by any of these seeds? Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.